Hey everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing the Black Booktuber tag. This tag was all over Booktube during sort of the resurgence of the Black Lives Matter. But that's obviously the time I decided to come off of Booktube so that I could finish off writing my dissertation. But I was tagged from the lovely Tara from Reading with Tara. I will leave her channel link down below and you should definitely go and visit her channel. But yeah, today I'm just going to answer 10 of those questions. So I have my laptop here, so I am going to be looking here because this time I decided to pre-prepare for the questions. So the first question is, tell us a little bit about yourself. If you just had that running noise, that was just my cat bolting for some reason. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Well, hello, I'm Sandra. I am a London gal living in Glasgow currently. I've always loved reading. Loved reading for as long as I can remember, and yeah, I decided a couple of years ago to just share my love of reading with the world. I'm actually quite fortunate that I do have a couple of friends that I can talk about books with, but actually I found increasingly as I sort of went into the working world that wasn't really happening. So yeah, that's why I decided to start my channel, and I feel like I read a variety of genres, but honestly when I look at my genres every single time on Goodreads at the year back, when I look back on the year, it always seems to be literary fiction. But I don't even feel like I read the top end of literary fiction, you know, the bits where people are like, oh yes, I read that and I had these thoughts. But anyway, I feel like I read a range, who knows. The second question is, who is a Black author you love that a lot of people don't know about? Now, obviously, this is all very subjective, but I'm going to name a couple. So the first I'm going to say is Lesley Lokko. Give me 1 second. I've not got the book from her that I want to show you. So this is Sundowners by Lesley Lokko, one of my favourite books from her. But yeah, she has a series of other books that basically are similar to this, except I think her most recent one is like a sort of Regency novel, love story kind of thing. Not really my vibe, so I've not read it, but I might read it because I am quite a fan of her work. I've also got here Frances Mensah Williams, which I have spoken about her before on my channel. I did a sort of interview with her, and I've also reviewed one of her books. Another author I put is Dorothy Koomson. Dorothy Koomson is quite popular, I would say. Well, I don't know. She has about 16 books out, so do you know what I mean? She's a prolific writer. I just feel like, yeah, maybe a lot of people don't know her. I think I first came into contact with her through the Ice Cream Girls. It was a BBC adaptation, I think, was it ITV? One of those channels. And I think I knew it was a book when I saw it there, so I thought, let me read the book first before I go and watch this adaptation, and honestly I loved it. I love the book and the adaptation. But yeah, a couple of her books, The Girl from Nowhere, The Rose Petal Beach. Another author, Mike Gale. I really enjoy his writing. Like when I'm looking for a light read that's just sort of about people living in London, or just different cities actually, because I think he writes about Manchester and he's from Birmingham and perhaps it's about London. I really enjoy his writing. Like I feel like he doesn't actually get a lot of I don't know, a lot of people talking about him, and he has quite really good contemporary romance books. So yeah, I'll put a couple of them on the screen, but The Life and Soul of the Party, Seeing Other People, Turning 40, and Half a World Away, which is a book that I read last year, and honestly, I nearly cried. It was so tear-jacking, like tear-inducing. It was so good. And then the final one I'm going to say is Daley-Ward. She's a poet. I mean, she's quite famous on Instagram, I would say. Her first collection of poetry is called Bone. The second is called The Terrible, which is kind of prose mixed with poetry. And yeah. So the third question is, favourite book talking about the Black experience? I think this is such a hard question because obviously the Black experience varies so much. And I feel like actually I read a lot of books that are centred around Americans. So it's obviously about Black American experiences. However, I am going to pick a book that is about Black American experiences, and that is Black Girl Unlimited by Echo Brown. I recently spoke about this book in one of my sort of videos where I talked about the books that I read whilst I wasn't on Booktube, and I just loved it. Some of the themes that I think are present in this book, or at least some of the topics it deals with, is dealing with trauma, a lack of family structure, addiction, drugs, sexual assault, friendship, self-esteem, sexuality. It deals a lot with a lot. But I would say closer to home and definitely more about Black British women is definitely Taking Up Space by Chelsea and Ore. This book is actually, it's like a part manifesto. I think it is essentially a manifesto, but this is about their experience during the time that they studied at Cambridge University. Obviously I didn't study at Cambridge University, but it's them talking about the different sort of things they faced within their time there, and a lot of it overlaps to things that I would have faced in school or also faced in uni, despite the fact that I actually went to a uni that was based in Birmingham and actually was quite multicultural. I mean, it was, I don't know why I'm using air quotes, but yes, it was quite diverse, and there were like a range of people there. At least there was a significant portion of like black people and Asian people and all sorts of different people. You get my drift. Another book I would say is Slay in Your Lane. This is by Yomi and Elizabeth. Again, talking about the Black British experience, it's very similar to sort of Taking Up Space, except this one very much focuses, it's much wider or broader than university. It talks about black women in work, in the workplace, in school, in education. It talks about mental health and black women. It's just really good. I really enjoyed it. I got so many different insights, and yeah, I feel like it accurately reflected a lot of the experiences that I've had in my life. And you know, obviously the book is them sharing their experiences, but also very much touching on these topics in a wider capacity, so really bringing in statistics and insights from other people as well. And then most recently, because I have just finished it, I'm going to say I'm Not Your Baby Mother by Candice Braithwaite. Obviously, I'm not a mum and I've not had a baby, but again, this book is sort of part memoir, so she talks about a lot of her experiences of growing up black in London, and yeah, I could definitely relate, and just sort of the things she talks about family and talks about mental health and how like we as black people, or even how it's discussed in relation to black women. So I think I would say that those are my sort of favourite books. I just opted to not do the favourite book part because I feel like I don't really have one favourite, I just have several. So the number 4 is favourite book by a black author, and hands down I'm going to say Homegoing by Yagiasi. I love that book. I try and read it once every year, like I think since I read it, or maybe like I started last year. I'm pretty sure I read it the year before, so yeah. I don't think I'll get the chance to reread it this year, but absolutely love it, and I'll definitely be rereading it in 2021. My god. For a while, Sundowners by Lesley Lokko was honestly hands down one of my favourite books, obviously, and she's a black Ghanaian author. But I haven't read it in years, and I don't know if actually upon like rereading it my opinions might change. So yeah, now I'm just going to throw these 2 books in there, well, this book and obviously Homegoing. The 5th question is recommend a book by a black and queer, recommend a black and queer book. So the first one I'm going to recommend is actually a poetry collection, and it is by Dean Atta, and it is I Am Nobody's. And I'm not going to say the word because I feel like I don't want to give other people who perhaps don't know that they're not supposed to say that word reason to say that, but obviously it's up on the screen so you know what I'm talking about. Another book I'm going to recommend is All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson. This is about a queer man in America. I really liked George's book for the way he talked about his family. There's so many intricacies to deal with his family, but I like the sort of joyous feeling overall that I got from the book. Freshwater by Cricket Emezi. This deals with a non-binary character. I think essentially in the beginning she is female, but then goes on to identify as non-binary. Girl, Woman, Other is mainly about women, but also deals with a non-binary character. And then The Vanishing Half also has a transgender character. They are not the main part of the story, but it is featured in there. So the number 6 is recommend a book with a black person on the cover. I loved this question because I love looking at the books that I had and seeing what covers they had. So the first book I'm obviously going to talk about is Black Girl Unlimited by Echo Brown. Love this cover. And then there's Hold. I read this book as Hold, but I think it has now been renamed to House Girl. I thought House Girl was just the American title, but looking back on Goodreads, it seems that actually it's now just called House Girl. But I will put both of the covers up because I actually think both of the covers are stunning. And then My Sister the Serial Killer. That Reminds Me by Derek Owosu, and My Darling from the Lions. That's a poetry collection that I recently read, and it features the back of a black girl's head, but it's still a black girl. Number 7 is recommend a book by a black author that makes you happy. And I have put here From Pasta to Pigfoot or Imperfect Arrangements by Frances Mensah Williams. I just love that book, especially when I read From Pasta to Pigfoot. Like, I just very much related to some of the things that Faye was going through in her life, but overall it was just a really good feel-good read. Like, it was funny to read about sort of the interactions she had with her boyfriend and her boyfriend's friends, but then sort of it was funny to also read about like her, I guess, sort of culture clash, but it was nice to read about her going back to Ghana and just, yeah, living life in Ghana and then coming back home to the UK. It was a really feel-good book. Overall, it made me feel really happy, and yeah, that's why I picked it. Imperfect Arrangements is the same, except Imperfect Arrangements, I feel like it made me feel it made me think more about relationships and how varied they are. And I liked that Frances explored different types of relationships, and I did come away from it again feeling quite happy because I liked the ending, I liked the resolution, I liked the growth in the characters. Another book that I've sort of put in here that makes me happy but isn't really is Homegoing, because actually a lot of Homegoing is quite sad. I think Homegoing is a book that's really well written, and I love the pacing, I love the attention given to all the characters, and it makes me happy like overall, but the bits inside the book aren't really like happy moments, like they're quite sad. Number 8 is recommend some black booktubers. So I actually think a lot of black tubers have already done this already, especially the ones that I watch, because you know I watched everyone's videos doing it. But just off the top of my head, I would say Marina from Young, Gifted and Black, Tomofaye from A Time to Share Books by Lena's. I don't actually know what her actual name is, but yeah. So number 9 is talk about a book by a black author that's coming in 2020. So I've put here Transcendent Kingdom by Yaa Gyasi. I actually think that's already out now. I'm pretty sure it is. I just obviously haven't picked it up. But because I don't really keep up with new releases like that, I'm just a bit like, I'm going to change this question a little bit and just talk about a couple of books by black authors that I want to pick up. Some of them may have come out in 2020, maybe 2019. Like, to me, they'd be quite recent, and like if they're in like the past 2 years, but obviously I know they're then counted as backlist titles. But the first one is Lakewood by Megan Giddings. I'm just reading through the books that I have on my Amazon list. I'm not going to talk about like what they actually are, but I will do links down below so you can check them all out. An Orchestra of Minorities by Chigozie Obioma. So I hope I'm saying that right, Obioma. That's the guy that wrote The Fisherman that I read last year that I absolutely love. New Daughters of Africa, an international anthology of writing. I think it's by black authors, edited by Margaret Busby. And I think one final one. This one seems like I think it's quite old. It's from Jacaranda Books, and it's called Satans and Shatans by Obina Udenewe, I think. So yeah, just off of the top of my sort of Amazon list, those are a couple of books by black authors that I want to get to. And then the final one is number 10, which is Tag Some Black Booktubers. But like I said for question 8, I think everyone's already done this. So obviously if I find someone that I follow that hasn't already done this, then I will tag them. You will definitely be tagged. But other than that, that's all for this video. So I hope you enjoyed hearing about some black authors and some books about, I guess, the black experience per se. Yeah, I think I've given quite a range of books, so I would definitely encourage you to check them out. Otherwise, I will also link below some sort of books that I've read by black and also African authors, any videos that I've done sort of surrounding that, so that if actually you want to read more by black and African people, there is something that you can refer to. But thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll catch you in another one. Bye.